So could you please tell us about your career arc and how would you characterize your role in the blockchain economy, blockchain industry?
Yeah. Okay, so my name is Adi Ben-Ari. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Applied Blockchain. My background is development, so I'm a techie. I studied computer science and I worked for 20 years as a developer, leading development teams and working as a solution and integration architect. 15 years in telecoms and 5 years in financial services, Lloyd's Insurance Market and Lloyd's Banking Group. And then about 3 or 4 years ago I came across blockchain, specifically Ethereum and Ethereum smart contracts. When the technology first came out, so long before the network was actually created, but when you could first play with and build blockchain applications, smart contract applications, the technology just blew my mind and I started building things. Initially I showed them inside the bank and it was very early, so I decided there's an opportunity here, left the bank and started my own company and haven't looked back really. We've been building solutions for clients over 3 years now. We've gone from 0 really to 40 people now. We've been very, very fortunate in our clients. We have a 50-50 split between startups and corporates, and we've got over 20 clients. And the corporate clients include companies like Shell and KLM here in the Netherlands, Vodafone, Toyota, United Nations, some of the banks, including Barclays and Bank of America. And the startups, really a whole range of startups looking at different use cases in different industries, from recruitment to invoice financing, to legal smart contracts, to IP registration, all the different use cases. And we work with the startups really as partners. So we get to see a broad range of activity and be active in a broad range of activity in the space, from the biggest of corporates to the most adventurous of startups.
And this is how we come to the next question. What do you think are the business drivers in blockchain industry and what problems we can solve with blockchain?
Yeah. I think blockchain, so going back to my background, most of what I did for those 20 years was integration architecture. So how do companies connect their data and talk to each other? And that's actually not a very easy thing to do. And when I looked at blockchain, I actually saw it as a new way for companies which never trust each other to actually be able to communicate in a more trusted way, and therefore a more reliable way. That's really where I came to the technology from. So I think that's where the value really is. It's in having a database which is secured by a group and therefore trusted by the group. And you can do all sorts of interesting things on that once you have it in place, including storing assets and using it as an asset registry and storing and exchanging value. And when you have assets and value in one place, which the parties can trust, which is very difficult to defraud and isn't centrally managed, and you can use a paradigm like smart contracts to put in business rules in place, move assets and move value together, then I think you get really a super efficient business environment for a lot of the activity that happens in trade and in lots of different areas today. Yeah.
So 50% of your clients are enterprises. Could you please name the key blockchain characteristics for enterprises, for working for blockchain enterprise?
Yeah. So we don't really think of blockchain itself as needing to be enterprise blockchain, right? We think of blockchain as needing specific properties in order for it to be good for enterprise, right? So I'm very much in the school of keep it simple, right? So we think if something works and is secure and addresses all the non-functional and functional requirements of the enterprise, then the enterprise can use it. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated, and you don't have to create a monstrosity to satisfy everybody's requirements. I'd prefer to keep something really simple, streamlined, but addresses the key requirements of being secure, of being a really piece of software of substance. Yeah.
Apart from being simple, you tackle many challenges, I'm sure. Could you please tell us about your personal challenges in blockchain industry and that your company faced as well?
So one of the first things that we realized across all the projects we were doing was that everybody wanted data privacy, which isn't out of the box in standard blockchains. Everybody wanted transaction anonymity because they didn't want other players in the industry seeing the volumes of their trade and so on and guessing who they are. Everybody wanted identity because if it's distributed, you need to know who you're dealing with in most business scenarios. So we ended up really creating some reusable common components in that space, and we made them platform agnostic. because in my 20 years as a software architect, it was drummed into me that when you build solutions, they should be agnostic of a vendor and agnostic of a specific technology. And especially when you've got a moving target like blockchain, where literally every week, and today I think it's happened 3 times, I've heard about new blockchain platforms that I'd never heard about before. So who do you use? Will these platforms ever be around? Will they be around in 3 years' time, and so on? It's impossible to predict. And even the big platforms today, we don't know what they'll look like or whether they'll be around, and so on. So we just say, if you're going to invest in this, you should build something that's future-proof as far as you can, and therefore you should not tie yourself to a specific platform if you can avoid it, even though that platform might be optimal for you. So we work with the lowest common denominator across the platforms, and we think that's a safer bet.
So in this regard, because you mentioned that many companies, blockchain companies, will disappear, well, probably. But what should we as a community do that enterprise blockchain thrives, that blockchain industry in general thrives?
I think we should work, really do something that goes against the DNA of most companies, of most profitable companies, and be open and collaborate. I'm not saying that as a cliche, and I don't think we have to do that about everything, but I think there's a layer in the blockchain world and network and solutions that if it's not open, then you're really going to create siloed blockchains where it might sound nice in the short term for a company that's trying to profit from some things that it's building, but in the long term will not bring the value that's perceived to be in it being a blockchain network or blockchain solution. So I think you have to identify a kind of base layer of the blockchain technology itself with a protocol, data structures, and maybe some basic smart contracts. Make those open. And then on top of that, everybody can build their own applications in smart contracts and above, commercialize those and so on independently and compete on them. But I think you have to have that common base layer, just like on the internet itself, we have a common base layer, and everyone builds their own websites, applications, and so on.
What do you think the most? What do you like the most about Rethink Trust conference so far?
Wow, I love it. I'm not sure where to start. It's fantastic for us. I've got a new marketing person that started a month ago, and she did a lot of research about which conferences we should really attend, because there are many, and this was the one she picked. Really? Yes, and the reason was because it looked to her like instead of inviting the whole world, it was really a group of I guess the types of companies that we would normally engage with, and the people in those companies that we would, that really we think we would like to talk to. And it's really quite focused, but at the same time, really very high quality in terms of the presentations here and the people we have. So very focused, so not wasting our time. And also the quality of the event itself. I mean, it's a beautiful location. The food is like a 5-star hotel. Super organized. The staff, just every minute, I literally feel like I'm in a 5-star hotel. Everybody's asking me if I'm okay and need anything.
Thank you for your feedback, and we are really glad to have you here as a speaker. So we hope that you really enjoyed it, and let's stay in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much.